here's why 90% of people starting Amazon FBA fail and what the 7 most common mistakes are that they do so that you don't have to do them. In the past years, Amazon has become quite a hype. Amazon FBA, everyone is talking about it. A lot of YouTube channels have popped up and many have tried their luck and to sell products on Amazon. Now, while it definitely has become a massive opportunity, especially in the last few years, we all know that e-commerce is booming. However, a lot are not succeeding and are really failing because they do just jump on the idea. They see the opportunity and they just jump on it without any preparation or without understanding what they need to be looking at in order to be successful. For that reason, many do fail, and they all have some common mistakes that they all tend to do. In this video, I'm going to look at the 7 most common mistakes that I can see people do that fail on Amazon and how you can avoid them. The first one is probably the most common one. It is that they don't have enough of a budget. They start with $1,000 or $2,000. And while I'm not saying that you can't build a business with $1,000, $2,000, your likelihood of succeeding is super, super, super slim. You better take that money and build a different sort of business with a different business model. If you want to be selling your very own private label products, starting with $1,000 or $2,000 is going to be quite hard to manage, because not only do you need to think about the product cost, you also have shipping costs, you need to invest into software, you need to be able to, create a brand, maybe a logo, something, you might want to get a trademark down the line. So in order to be able to build a bigger business at some point, starting with just a few $1,000s is going to definitely get you to a massive issue, which is a cash flow issue. And in e-commerce, cash flow is really, really important because you often have to pre-finance future inventory. So even though you are selling your product, you still haven't gotten your payouts yet, but you already have to be purchasing the next inventory in order to be able to send it into the Amazon warehouse or to your own warehouse. So usually this requires a bit of cash flow. You can get started with around $4,000 to $5,000, but don't expect to be building $1 million business starting with that. The second most common mistake is they select the wrong product. Your product choice is going to determine if you succeed on Amazon or if you lose it all. Because Amazon, we all know, it's a search engine. We can only offer products that people are actually searching for, but we need to find the right balance between finding products that are searched for a lot, that are highly competitive, and products that are not searched a lot and are not competitive. We don't want to be offering any of those. The most common mistake, though, is that people go for big wins. They see the big numbers, the 100K product, the 50K product, the 90K product, and they try to compete with bigger businesses that are already quite established. And they try to enter the market and get some sales where it's almost impossible to get on the first page while still being profitable. May not go that route of selecting the wrong product, end up with inventory that never sells because they never get any traffic, and the only traffic that they can get through PPC is never profitable. If there was just one thing that I would focus on to build my Amazon business, ideally you would get help in selecting the right product. Another issue that I see that people do outsource their research to VAs. While there are great VAs that can help a lot, there are many that follow similar research techniques, and by the time that you offer your product, you will see a lot of others are offering the same product. Everyone is finding the same products through black box and so on, not working well. So if there was just one thing that I would invest my money in if I did start a new Amazon FBA business, it would be into getting enough information and proper help in understanding how to properly do product research, because ideally you start doing the product research yourself so that you understand how this works. And once you do have the right products Even if you mess up other parts, even if you mess up your branding slightly, or if you mess up other things, you could still do well. However, you could have the most beautiful product, best branding, and everything done. But if you have selected the wrong product category or wrong keywords, you still are going to have a very hard time to succeed. So, product research is so important. If you want to learn how to do product research properly, we do have a 21-day course and challenge to help you find your next winning products. You can find more information down in the box. Now, the third mistake that most people do that lead them to failing is that they don't understand the numbers enough. They select a product, but they don't fully calculate their profit margins. They underestimate shipping costs, or they underestimate other costs that come in to them not being profitable. They also oftentimes underestimate how much marketing could cost them, so that even though they've initially found a product that might have like 20% of profit margin, they notice down the line when they calculate everything together, all the costs together, that they might be just left with 10 or less than 10%. And that is less than ideal. Also, what I experience a lot is that people do not calculate the return of investment properly. I do recommend to have 100% return of investment. It means that if you're investing $1,000 in a product, that you want to be at least making $1,000 in profit. The next very common mistake is that people start with the wrong expectations. And that is really a bad one, because I find that there's a lot of misleading information, especially here on YouTube and on other places, where there's this, hey, get rich quick thing kind of vibe going on. Hey, look at my fancy car, and look at this helicopter, look at all the stuff that I've got from Amazon, when really it might not be because of Amazon. And they might have invested way more. They might have gotten different strategies to build this up. And it's not fully transparent. If you're starting with $5,000, you're not going to be able to buy your Ferrari by the end of the year. Very unlikely. And if it happens, it's probably because of luck as well. There are sometimes cases where you have like a really lucky win, but in most cases it won't be that fact. And entering with really unrealistic expectation of leaving your 9 to 5 after a month, of being financially free after a month, is something that leads people into disastrous situations. What I like to tell everyone that I work with is expect to reinvest at least 6 to 18 months of your profits back into your business. Because if you do that, you are able to really build a bigger business, something out of that is substantial. If you keep robbing, and I really say robbing, because if you take that profit right out of your business from the start, it is like you're robbing your own baby, because it will need that profit in order to be able to grow and to add more products and to be able to be healthy. Starting with the wrong expectations, thinking that you'll become rich tomorrow, or even thinking that you leave your 9 to 5, or that this business is going to be bringing you substantial income right away, is most likely going to lead to failure. You are going to take decisions that come out of desperation, that come out of, I don't want to say greed, but it is a energy that is not going to lead you to the best decisions. If you are willing to really grow this business, and if your goal is to have a 7-figure business at some point, and even if you start small, this is realistic and it is possible only if you really nurture your business. And by nurturing, I mean you keep reinvesting your profits into new launches, into more products, maybe even a small team. And with that, you can be building a bigger business for yourself. The next issue is it's a quite big one, because it happens so often, but so few talk about it. Another very common mistake why a lot of people fail on Amazon is because they don't know Amazon's TOS. What are TOS? Terms of service. These are basically the rules that Amazon has, how you are supposed to behave as a seller, what are you allowed to do, what not. And unfortunately, again, there are a lot of YouTube videos around suggesting things that are not TOS conform, which people follow blindly. And look, people follow with good intentions. They end up making mistakes that then cost them their accounts, they get suspended. Amazon keeps their money because of suspected fraud and so on. And they didn't even do that with bad intentions. Okay, so let's look at a few examples. There are a lot of videos out there talking about Amazon dropshipping, retail arbitrage, online arbitrage. This is where you look at branded products, you find them somewhere else, maybe in Walmart somewhere, for a cheaper price, and then you offer them on Amazon and you keep that difference for you. People that have success with it, I'm not going to deny it, but they know what they are doing. It is a very difficult path to go on if you don't know what you're doing, because there's so many brands that don't allow it. You can have IP claims, and then they will ask you for proof. A receipt from Walmart doesn't count as proof. Your account can be then shut down and your money is going to be kept. And it happens much more often than you might think. A few years back, I used to write appeals for Amazon sellers that did lose their accounts. And I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of different Amazon sellers. And unfortunately, I mostly worked with small beginners that thought what they were doing was correct. And they ended up doing something that they learned somewhere on YouTube. And unfortunately, that leads a lot of people that just followed the Amazon guru, and ended up losing their account, ended up losing a lot of money because they got suspended and they were doing something that was not allowed. Might even have a legal case now on. And the issue is really that people are not aware of what the terms of service are and what is allowed on Amazon and what not. Before you get started with a tactic or a strategy, make sure that you look if that is TOS conform and whatever you're doing is something that is allowed to be done. And be cautious with some of the older videos that you find on YouTube, especially because things that might have been allowed a few years ago are not allowed anymore, as Amazon does change with time and they adapt to the market as well. Another massive mistake, and that would be the mistake number 6 in this list, is that they don't plan out their launch. Planning out your launch is so crucial. You need to be able to launch your product and understand how the ranking process works. If you don't know how to get on page number 1, you're going to have a hard time, because you can't assume that just because your product goes live, it means that your product is going to be visible. It doesn't mean that. It usually takes some effort to get your product on page number 1. And there are different ways of doing that, from using PPC to outside traffic and so on. But you need to be aware that there needs to be some strategy in place. And the last one on the list, the 7th most common mistake, is that people do not inform themselves enough before they get started. They see an opportunity, they hop on the first thing, they do everything quick, without properly understanding what to do or even investing into help. I understand that not everyone can afford investing into coaching or even a course, but at least invest into the right software. For example, Helium 10 is a really good choice. And Helium 10 also has a course, it's called Freedom Ticket. It's included with the paid version. And at least start with something like that. Ideally, of course, you would get some coaching so you can get some feedback and some proper help in understanding if whatever idea you have is good or not. Because when you have someone professionally looking at what you're trying to do, they can often see what you are not able to see yet because you don't have the awareness for it. Unfortunately, a lot of people do suggest just learning from YouTube. YouTube alone, I would not suggest that, because a lot of the videos are outdated, are not done by people that do professionally do this. They might be good on YouTube, but they might not be that great in the actual Amazon business. And having someone with more experience, and that could be even through a mastermind, finding someone who's already a little bit further ahead than you, to be able to bounce off ideas, to learn together. This is already a great place to start. Of course, ideally, you would get not just a course, but some sort of like group coaching or a coaching possibility where you can get like actual feedback on what you are planning to do, because that can save you from thousands and thousands of dollars lost with a wrong approach. And it can also, of course, help you cut down your learning curve and reach your goals faster. If your budget doesn't allow any bigger group coaching possibilities, I would suggest you get help with your product research. We do have a 21-day course and challenge to help you find your winning products, where you can also get some feedback and some help. And that is only for $97, where you can already have the biggest and most important piece, because with the right product choice, you would have already one of the biggest pieces of your business figured out. I hope this video really helped you to see what the most common mistakes are, so that you can avoid them and start your business on the right path to then, of course, become successful. I wish you a beautiful day wherever you are in the world. I hope to see you very soon. And yeah, bye for now.